Hi folks, Jeremy Siskind here. I hope you're well. And I want to introduce myself. I'm the author of Playing Solo Jazz Piano. And I'm the author of the new book, Solo Standards for Piano. You know this little gray band here? This is because this is the proof copy. So I'm the only one who owns ones with the gray band. All right, and then this is Jazz Piano Fundamentals. See, this has the gray band too. I sell all the ones that don't have the gray band. I mean, not all of them. You can buy them, for instance, from jeremysiskind.com or amazon.com. Okay, this is the 7th installment of my Saturday series of Essential Jazz Voicings, or I think I'm calling it Jazz Piano Voicings 101, Jazz Piano Voicing Academy, whatever name you want to choose. And today I want to talk about modal voicings in general. We're going to go specific into different styles and specific modal voicings. But first, I want to just talk about what a modal voicing is and how to form them. So a modal voicing is a set of intervals that can be applied to any point in a mode. To any point in a mode. And so what this is actually kind of saying is that modal voicings are more a process than a voicing type, because we can choose any any set of intervals, and if we start moving them around a mode, then what we're doing is we're creating a modal voicing. So just to prove my point, let's say that our modal voicing is going to be 3/3. That's going to form a root position triad. So heck, let's do it in D Dorian classic mode. So in that case, we're going to get a set of modal voicings. And I could write these in treble clef, I could write them in bass clef. Maybe it's more responsible to write them in bass clef. So what we're going to do is we're going to stack thirds within the mode on, or above, I should say, every single note of the mode. Okay. This is not a particularly interesting modal voicing. We usually like modal voicings to have a lot of fourths or to have a variety of intervals, but this is the idea of a modal voicing. Now, what's really important to realize here, so important, is that the nature of the intervals changes a little bit from chord to chord, or from, I should say, voicing to voicing. So, for instance, in this chord, E to G is a minor third, and then G to B, remember we're in bass clef here, is a major third. So this is a minor triad, right? Whereas in the next voicing, F to A, the bottom interval is a major third, and A to C, the top interval, is a minor third. And this makes a major triad. So the number of the interval, whether it's the second, third, fourth, fifth, and its positioning on the staff all remain the same, but the actual type, the sonority, the detail of the interval changes. And that is particularly important when we talk about fourths and fifths, because as we get over here, and remember again that we're in bass clef, our notes here are A, C, and E. I know there's letter lines, and then B, D, and F, right? So here, the outside notes make a perfect fifth, whereas here, the outside notes make a diminished fifth. And this is where people get thrown off on modal voicings, especially quartal voicings and so what voicings, because they expect everything to be perfect fourths, and then they come to a point in the mode inevitably, because every mode has one point where there's a augmented fourth instead, and they say, I don't understand, or they start putting in unnecessary accidentals. So you have to realize that these chords are going to sound different based on where they are in the mode. Okay, let's choose a more interesting modal voicing, or something that might actually be more like a modal voicing. Let's keep it to just 3 notes, one hand, and let's stay in D Dorian. well, no. Let's go to F Dorian. So F Dorian is going to be the same key signature as E flat major, 3 flats, B flat, E flat, A flat. This is why they pay me the big bucks, guys. I know this stuff. I promise you. I probably just got that wrong. I'm too confident. And instead of doing 2/3, let's stack a second and a fourth. Okay, so our voicing here is going to be a second plus a fourth. And notice that I don't specify major second, minor second. I don't specify perfect fourth, because if I do that, I'm not going to get modal voicings. I'm going to actually start doing what's called planing, which is a different thing. A cool thing, but a different thing. So I'm going to write notes in the mode. And by the way, if you want to make this easy, you could write a key signature at the beginning, and then you don't have to think about the accidentals as you go. But I'm going to see if I can talk and also get the right accidentals in the key of E flat. So here we go. Cool. I'm going to do this an octave higher at the beginning because this is awfully low even for that sound. F4 for whatever reason it helps you to see it like this. Whoa. There we go. So let's see, we're in F minor. If I were to play Monin and I wanted to harmonize it with these modal voicings, I could go. So I'm selecting voicings from each of from this set of 7 here, and then I'm just whatever the top note is of Monin, I'm applying the top note of the voicing. So for an F top note, I'm using B flat C F. For an A flat top note, I'm using D E flat A flat. Okay, and notice that that one that I just circled, I tell you in every mode there's one place, or I guess. Yeah, there's one place for each kind of interval where it's going to be a tritone rather than a fourth or fifth. And it's right here. There's a tritone between the D and the A flat. Cool. Let's do a 2-handed example. So let's do... As I form these, like, you might say, well, are you just selecting intervals randomly? I'm trying to do, the main thing that I'm trying to do is not have any repeated notes. So let's do this. So and I'm trying to avoid some of the really common ones that we're going to talk about in later variations of this series, later versions of this series. All right, so this is, let's see, this is a little complicated. It's a third plus a fourth plus a second plus a fifth. Wow, we're doing all the different intervals here. Okay, so if this is D Dorian, then this is relatively simple. I'm just going to keep going up without adding in any flats or sharps. By the way, I should mention this is all over Jazz Piano Fundamentals Book 3. The dark blue book looks like this. If this is interesting to you, this kind of material is in there quite a lot. I'll also mention that I attended a great workshop with Taylor Eichste, incredible pianist, and he said that moving voicings like this throughout the modes is his most valuable voicing practice. That every day he'll take a shape and he'll move it through all of his major modes, maybe all of his melodic minor modes, I don't remember, maybe I made that up. So very valuable practice, a different way to practice scales than just playing them up and down. All right, so here we go. Oops, I didn't write all the way to there. That's pretty ugly. second, right? I made that one up. So now I got to this one that I said was kind of ugly. And some of these modal voices are going to sound nicer than others. But that doesn't mean they're not usable. That just means you might not want to rest on them. It means you might want to pass through them or use them as a neighbor. So it's usable, just maybe not as a resting place. Okay, now let's go to what a difference a day makes. And what I want to do is I want to apply that kind of sus chord shape, the second below a fourth, to this tune. Now this is not a modal tune, this is a tonal tune. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it sound a little bit more modal by taking each of the modes of each of these chords and by putting the shapes beneath these melody notes. Okay, so again, the shape is going to be a second below a fourth. Now, some of these are going to be tricky. Some of these chords are going to be harder than others, but let's look at how it's done. So, all right, we got F Dorian. So, second below a fourth. So, B flat, F, E flat, G, and F below C, B flat and A flat below E flat, right? Second below fourth for each of these. So I'm not thinking, notice how different this is. Having trouble fitting the flats in the right place. Notice how different this is than like type AB voicings where we're talking about what chord tone is this? We need the third, we need the seventh. Here, there's none of that talk. It's literally just what are these intervals in the mode beneath the melody. Okay, so B flat and C below that F. And this is just for instance to get us a good understanding of modal voicings before we get into more specific voicings. D. So here we're going to have a lot of A flats and B flats. This one's not right. I did it wrong. So that's going to be a B flat below C because C is a fourth below that F. These A flats and B flats are all, these A's and B's are all flat. Now this is an interesting moment here actually, because technically we see E flat major, we would use the E flat major scale, which would be Ionian, and so we'd use G and A flat. We could do that, but that A flat is pretty dissonant against everything. So a lot of times what we do for tonic chords when we're playing modal is we make them Lydian. So it'd probably be more common to do G and A natural so that we don't come up against this. Okay, now we're on A flat 7, so we're thinking A flat Mixolydian, a fourth below is G flat, and then a second below is F. We're probably gonna have to change here so that we don't have dissonance. So now we're changing to G Dorian. This will be an A natural. So this is always a little bit tricky because usually for a sharp 9 chord, we're going to use a symmetrical scale, an octatonic scale, rather than a mode. But here it works out that I can do perfect fourths and perfect fifths below. So I don't think I have to think too hard about that. This is going to be a little crunchy here. D and E flat. Not my preferred voicing. So if we want to get rid of this, we could make this F Aeolian instead of Dorian. We could change the minor mode. Maybe. No perfect solutions here. Yeah, again, it's because we're taking a modal device and applying it to a tonal tune. I'm just going to move this by a half step from one place to another. So let's see, what does it sound like? if I were actually playing it, I don't think I would repeat. I would do some kind of like just motion bringing those notes up and down by half steps. Probably the same thing here, but for now, let's keep it simple. Just don't want to pound out that same chord over and over and over again. So you might hear me change that as I'm just going on and playing it. All right, so for things like half diminished chords, you might have a selection of modes, but actually harmonizing a G, it's always going to be a D and a C, no matter whether you're using Locrian or Locrian natural 2 or the mode of the whatever second mode of the harmonic minor. You're still going to have a D and a C, so we don't have to think too hard. Thank goodness. All right, D, C, and boy, we're just repeating the same chord a lot. So again, it might be a place to put in some motion by moving things by half steps, targeting whatever note is the target on beat 1. And then C and B flat here beneath these two notes, because we're thinking about C Dorian, F Mixolydian, the B flat major scale. Okay, so now we're in C Dorian. So we'll use A natural, A, B, G, A, B, something like this. Still that A natural carries over. Cool. All right, so not my favorite version of that tune. Oops, wrong angle, sorry. Here I am. Not my favorite version of that tune, but hopefully this shows you like the general process of applying modal voicings. You figure out what the mode is, and whatever interval you are using, you apply that across the board within the mode, even if you're getting kind of crunchy chord where the intervals change. As I said, if this is interesting to you, if this is new to you, if you'd like to learn more, check out Jazz Piano Fundamentals Book 3. This one's got the gray line as well. This is all about modal jazz and contains a lot of the future installments in this series. So what voicings, pentatonic voicings, quartal voicings, which all function very much like these modal voicings. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. If you've watched this far, I think this is number 7 in the series, so include the word or the number 7 in your comment. Thanks, everyone.